Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. A very warm welcome to the investor and analyst meet of Greenlam Industries Limited. I am Shrikant Sangani, from Strategic Growth Advisor. Today we are privileged to have a management team of Greenlam Industries. The team is represented by Mr. Saurabh Mittal, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ashok Sharma, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Samat Agarwal, VP Finance, and other senior team members of the company. This evening, the management team will take you through the comprehensive overview of the business, including the strategic insight, key growth drivers, and the future roadmap of the company. We will begin with the presentation, after which the floor will be open for the interactive session. We request all the team members in the room to keep your mobile phone on the silent mode. With that note, I would like to invite Mr. Saurabh Mittal for his opening remarks.
Thank you for being here, and a very warm welcome from my side also. I'll run you through the presentation of the one we prepared. So Samat will run some part of the presentation. Some will be done by our CFO Ashok, and the business that I'll cover. So Greenlam Industries, it's a new chapter of transformation for us. We've completed all our greenfield, brownfield projects over the last 3 years in laminates, plywood, particle board. And we've laid the groundwork, as we say, for the growth for the next 3 to 4 years. And we've been able to build all the manufacturing plants, with a high quality product output, with complete discipline. And we believe that this will, kind of create stakeholder value in the future. So we'll do we've been 10 years now as an independent company. So this is what Greenlam looks like after 10 years. When we became an independent company, we had 2 manufacturing plants, and now we have 5 plants. We're a 3-product company. One was just introduced like a half a year back, and now we're a 6-product company with laminates being the core, particle board, plywood, veneer, decorative veneer, flooring, doors. Geographical presence, we were present in about 100 countries at that point also, and now we're at about 120 countries internationally. Domestically, we were present with about 12,000 dealer distributors. Now it's nearly 40,000. And FY15, we were 6 subsidiaries, and now we're nearly 15. So when we became an independent company, we were largely in 3 segments. You can say 2, plywood and veneer. Flooring had just begun. And now, as you can see, we are in 6 segments: plywood, chipboard, laminates, decorative veneer, floors, and doors. So I think last decade was full of challenges and opportunities. I wouldn't go through each one of them. So I think last decade has been quite eventful for us. So this is like a 10-year report card of the company. FY15 revenues were 925. 25 was 2569 crores. Gross profits from 43 to 52%. Inventory days remains same. EBITDA from 9.7% to 10.7. The 10.7 includes losses of the chipboard and the plywood business. Only laminates, I think we were at about 15-odd%. Gross block has expanded. Debtors days have reduced. Dividend payouts have increased. Market caps have gone up and down and closed at 6,000 crores. And we put a note that working capital has improved despite 3 new categories coming in, new investments, new ranges, new inventories. This is like a brief snapshot about the background, team, manufacturing capabilities, products, domestic footprint, global footprint, several certifications we have across factories, products for various markets, both international and domestic. The team size is nearly now 9,000 team members in India and abroad. So Greenlam now is amongst the top 3 players in laminates globally. We are India's largest exporters for 16 years. 14 years we won the award. We're the only first organized producers of engineered wood flooring, first producers of organized producer of engineered doors, India's only integrated plant for laminates, particle boards, and compact laminates in one site in Andhra Pradesh. So across categories we operate, more or less we have the best facilities and capacities and capabilities. So that's the dynamic, strong, and effective board we have. One of our board members is here, Mr. Dani. So that's about the growth journey of the company. We began in 1993, and I think last 3 years have been quite eventful for us. So if I just focus on last 3 years with the starting of the plywood plant, the buying of the plant of laminates in Gujarat, raising equity of 195 crores, starting the chipboard line in Andhra Pradesh, starting the laminates line in Andhra Pradesh. So I think last 3 years have been a lot of work, has been laid down for the future. We also did our first bonus issue, which commensurated with the 10 years of company's listing. So these are the brands of the companies. All the wooden business has been aligned with the brand Mikasa. So it's Mikasa Ply, Mikasa Veneers, Mikasa Floor, Mikasa Doors. And laminates is with Greenlam Laminates as flagship, with Clads and Sturdo. And the melamine chipboard is also under the Greenlam brand. And we have another second brand by the name of New Mica. So three, brands as of now: Greenlam, Mikasa, and New Mica. So I'm just going to quickly run through the various products we have in our portfolio. As laminates, a core business, several designs, sizes, decors in compacts, in sheets, and some multiple sizes, multiple offerings, which caters to global customers and domestic customers. That's the facade laminates, which is used in exteriors. We were one of the first companies to start this product in India. Again, various sizes, various colors. That's the restroom cubicle business, which uses compact laminate as the core, with various kinds of hardware, various dimensions, various models. Mostly a commercial product, and gaining more and more acceptance in the market. Increasingly, people are moving from brickwork, and wet partition to dry partition, and the compact laminate really works well in those segments, being waterproof, being anti-fungus, antibacterial, etc. That's the particle board. We call it melamine face chipboard. Melamine because the deco paper is treated with melamine, and it's pasted on a particle board. The samples are right there. Again, various colors, various dimensions, and being one of the first large organized players in the segment, I think you'll see a lot of innovation from us in this segment. That's the decorative veneer business with natural veneer, teak, engineered veneers, again, across various varieties, various origins, various dimensions. That's a flooring product. Mostly two thicknesses, 10 millimeter, 15, again, various dimensions, two species, various coating, processes. That's a door model, which is a made-to-measure model, not a standard product. So this is customized for projects. And again, there's designer, there's fire-rated doors, there is specialty doors. And that's a plywood business. We have 5 offerings in the plywood business. And gradually we are adding markets to our plywood business. Various credentials, we just put a few of them, mostly globally, let's say comparable to any global company with the CARB certification. You can see the bottom, it's NSF, this FSC, PEFC. So mostly we're certified for most of our products going to various markets globally. So that's the domestic footprint of the company. 5 manufacturing locations, 23 branch offices, 17 regional distribution centers, 2 experience centers, 40,000 dealer, distributors, retailers across the country. So this is the capacities across locations, across categories. laminates being the core business, has 24.52 million sheets boards across 4 factories in North India, Western India, Northwest, and South. Veneers flooring doors is concentrated in the Rajasthan plant. Plywood at the moment is only in South India and Tamil Nadu. That's India's single site largest plant. And chipboard is again single site largest plant in Andhra Pradesh. So all the plants are up and running. All these capacities have been built. So there's nothing, to start or to, begin at the moment, right? So all these are up and running plants. Sorry. It's going a bit slow. Yeah. So these are the images of the 5 plants. The first 2 images are still under construction. Yeah. And the below 3 are Gujarat and Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh. So this is a global footprint. So about 120 countries we service across our 5 plants, 22 global offices, 15 subsidiaries of the company in various parts of the world, and about 200 team members work with us across various parts of the world. And most of the sales we do is with our own brand. There's no white label or OEM. So this is about the market size of laminates. Where are we positioned? So of the 12,500 approx market size of laminates, exports is 3,400, domestic is 9,000, and we have about 17.8% share of the organized domestic market, where we believe we are nearly equal to our competitor or slightly ahead as on last year's numbers, and 29% of India's export business. If you add our subsidiary numbers, the percent increases, but this is a benchmark with on a comparable data. International revenues last year was $138 million. Total market size globally is about $8.5 billion. So part 3 is just about our prospects. So we want to talk a bit about what we've done over the last 3 years. So over the last 3 financial years, we've operationalized 4 manufacturing plants in 3 locations, which is Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. So we've moved from just North Zone, the 2 plants in North India, we've moved to now West and South and obviously North. We've moved from a 4 product offering to a 6 product offering. Total capital invested over the last 3 FYs has been around 1,450 crores. And these expansions have been completed within FY25. There's been recruitment of talent. We've strengthened our management bandwidth, yet more needs to be done. And the team size has expanded across plants and sales offices and warehouses to 9,000 team members. From 14 warehouses, we moved to 17. From 21 to 23, 2 experience centers have been added. Dealer distributors have been expanded, over the last 3 years. Subsidiaries have been added in the international markets from 8 to 15. We've added warehouses globally, and offices have been added from 15 to 22, and teams have also been strengthened abroad. So the message I want to give out is over the last 3 years, investments in manufacturing, resources, warehousing, distribution has all been done and completed. So this is how our addressable market in India changes. Earlier we were, addressing a market size of 11,000 crores, which now moves to 49,000 crores. Although the entire plywood market we're not servicing at the moment, we're only in the premium of the market, but we have entered the ply business is the message we want to give out. And besides this, we showed the previous slide, the international market, the international business opportunity is also quite significant for us. So these are the goals the company has set about, to move from a standalone surfacing product to integrated surface and substrate solution provider, which I think largely we've achieved, at least from an offering perspective. We want to emerge as India's leading wood panel player. We want to become India's leading laminate, world's leading laminate, player. And we want to move from a position of respect to a first recall. So these goals were set out when we started the expansion plans, and I think we are moving in that direction. So again, broadly, why are we optimistic about investments for the domestic market? I won't read out each of them, but I think few points are important, like the QCO implementation, is going to drive a lot of panel production in India, reduce imports coming into the country, certify products to be of a certain standard, which helps organized brands and companies grow. We also see a shift from unorganized to organized, within the domestic market. We see a trend of carpentry moving from on-site to off-site. So OEMs and manufacturing, customers, people making furniture, panels, fit-outs and factory setups. I think there again, organized brands with better performance quality, get an edge. So broadly about how we think of the, international markets. Here again, we think we have a great opportunity. We've built the base, we've built products, we've built capacities. We have 2 manufacturing plants of laminates near the port now. Globally, capacities are not being added in laminates, because cost of adding capacities, cost of running capacities, is more expensive than India. We've been able to achieve a certain quality standard, expertise in this category. I think one of the only categories in the country where, in exports, we are dominant and probably equal or higher than what China does. So I think clearly it's a strength of our country to produce and export laminates. So some brief points on demand drivers. I think here again, several furniture brands want to come and set up factories in India, which again gives a fillip to domestic production. They need panels, they need chipboard, and high quality laminates. This demand of renovation cycle reduces. I think mechanized furniture manufacturing growing is also an important point to consider. So I think this is also an important slide. So the investments we've made until FY25 can potentially generate 4,500 crores of revenue in the next 3 to 4 years. So we've said that in the calls that we want to grow at about 18-20% run rate. So over the next 3-4 years, we can realize this revenue. When we do that from 2,600 crores of odd we did last year, we think margins should improve at a higher scale. And we think we'll win more market share in both domestic and international market across product categories. This will also help us do cross-sell of each product, dealers, architects, IDs, OEMs, projects. There's a big overlap between all the products of the wood panel space. So if they take ply, they need veneer, they take chipboard, they need laminates. So all the products we have, by and large, there's an overlap with influencers, channel, and the end customers. This will also strengthen our brand so we end up giving a single point solution to the market. So I think the portfolio we built again is probably quite exhaustive. Barring MDF, I think we have most of the products in our portfolio. And this we believe will enhance profitability and sustainability. So on the ESG, I'm going to ask my colleague Samarth to come and take you through. Samarth, please.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible. Yeah. For ESG, I think this is nothing new to Greenlam. We have been doing ESG in a softer manner for a very long time. It's just that now we have started to think in a very deeper manner here. I'll just take you through certain things. ESG doesn't only mean the letters of it, but in spirit, a lot of things that we do inside our operations, the way we manufacture, the way we operate, and the way we sell. So, we have a very detailed code of conduct for business ethics. a vendor code of conduct which has a compliance level of across our vendors. We are audited for our ethical data exchange for one of our factories, because this is one of the requirements in the European market, where before they buy the materials, they audit us for certain practices that we do. And these audits we have been getting in done for, I think, quite a bit of time now. We also have our integrated management systems and energy management systems, which means that our product lines, our production lines are much more efficient than the other things. And ESG is actually not only a verbatim here, it is more built into the systems and processes. And this year, we have adopted ESG goals. We have officially kind of taken a target wherein we will do certain things over a period of time, next 3 to 4 to 5 years. I'll just brief you on those. So the principles based on which we have adopted those targets are better use of resources. Since we use a lot of natural resources in the form of wood and paper, we have to be a responsible producer. We have to give back to the environment, the resource that we use. We need to ensure that we contribute to zero deforestation. We need to be better for climate and water. We all know that India is facing a severe water crisis, and the production facilities that we have use certain amount of water. We need to ensure that the water, whatever we use, one is the usage comes down, and second, it is more reused at the factory end. We will be net water positive across our factories. That process has already started. We want to be better for people, both for our, from the health and safety perspective, as well as from learning curve. So I can myself say that being in here for more than a decade now, 11 years, I've seen, organization change a lot. I've seen, people learning, growing. So this is something that I can at least vouch for here. The better way to do business is to build trust and confidence with our partners that we work with across the sectors, across the communities. And that's something, Greenlam is very, very passionate about, to work in an ethical and an integrated manner. Coming to the commitments, I think these are also published in our annual report. From the resource perspective, from the first principle that we have adopted, we will be taking, or rather we have taken a commitment to reduce the waste generation by 20% and be a zero waste landfill by 2030. From a packaging perspective, we will be reducing the packaging material by almost 25% by 2030. By 2027, 50% of our paper requirement will be met from a recycled paper. So which in fact, kind of reduces the virgin pulp paper requirements. We'll be sourcing 75% of the wood from local sourcing by 2030. Then we have 50% of our chipboard business wood needs will be met by local plantation level. This is again an agroforestry drive that we're doing in the southern part of the country, where our factory of chipboard is located, where we have done we have undertaken an extensive plantation exercise, where we are giving saplings to the farmers to grow and make available the wood, which is a key raw material for our chipboard and the plywood business. And coming for climate and water, we have taken a commitment to be net zero on scope 1 and scope 2 at manufacturing level by 2030. So these are direct and indirect emissions that our factories do. We want to be net zero by 2030 at the manufacturing level. We want to be water positive by 2027. As I said earlier, that's already started that process is already there. 20% reduction in water intensity, the amount of water that we use per sheet of our production, 12% reduction in energy, 20% cut in transport emission. One of the most difficult tasks that I've realized over the period is to cut the transport emission. So this is one of the toughest things. And obviously we are compliant with our environment regulation, and we want to be compliant that way. For the people around, our OHS safety ratings to be above 4 by 5, reduction in reportable incidents by 50%, medical insurances as being concerned for health and safety of our people, learning and development, and employee satisfaction score improvements. For better way to do business, we have initiated exercise of net promoter score, which we are targeting to be 8.5 and above out of a score of 10. 90% of suppliers to be aligned with our code of conduct. As I said earlier, we have a detailed vendor code of conduct on which our suppliers have already given a written confirmation that they abide by those norms. So we're targeting 90% of suppliers to be aligned by 2027 by our code of conduct. We will be undertaking for our critical suppliers, a sustainability exercise by 2027. Again, 100% staff to be trained annually on compliance and ethics. This is very, very important and one of the principles of Greenlam. Again, our leadership level ESG ratings, once we mature in this subject enough to undertake, though we have a rating now, but we want to improve that score and then we want to go all out to the public and announce that rating. So this is on the ESG part of it. That's the current year that we have started this exercise in detail, and I hope we are able to achieve all our targets as we move forward. Over to you, sir, for the business update.
So on the business update, we've largely covered the new product category in the new plant, because I think other things are largely known. So this is for Andhra Pradesh plant at Naidupeta. So this is, like I said earlier, is the only fully integrated plant where laminates, particle board, compact laminates, all that can be produced in one plant. So typically, if you imagine if there's an office project or any commercial project, people need toilet partitions, they need workstations, they need paneling products. So architects and customers can coordinate the entire program from one location in similar colors, similar textures, but different substrates. So that's a unique property we are bringing to the market. I think the other points of proximity to ports, the facility will be IGBC certified, and so I think all other things of effluent treatment plants, world-class spark detection, explosive protection system, because wood business is susceptible to fires. So I think all that's been installed. The emission control systems, massive agroforestry belt around the plant location in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. And the most important point is the location, the way the plant's been designed. We have adequate opportunities to do multiple brownfield in laminates and the board line. So we can add 3 to 5 more laminate lines in this location, and we can add 1 more board and lamination lines. So on the chipboard, this is the largest integrated and first of its kind in India. It's spread across 80 acres. 4 ports are close by to the plant location. It's a fully automated continuous press line. That's the main board line. The lamination line still needs manpower. The press width is adjustable between 7 to 9 feet, which means you can make boards, you can make more flexible board sizes, which helps customers improve their yields and reduce their wastages. It's mostly relevant for the OEM manufacturers. That's the capacity. The technology is German. So on the chipboard facility, market opportunity is about 5,000 crores in India, and we think this market will keep growing. It'll take market share from other substrate products for commercial applications. And you will see we've made some samples of chipboards with screws. We've done some water testing. We've built a new product called high moisture resistant particle board. And I think as time passes, we'll be innovating a lot in this category and bring about products, textures, which India has not seen, but is present in the European market. Currently, mostly dominated by the local, unorganized players, whether bagasse or wood, mostly Indian or Chinese technologies, multi-opening presses. Those boards have metal pieces. They don't have systems to, control what's inside the board. OEMs have been facing challenges while using the board. So clearly, I think we're competing with unorganized players, and we think we'll win market share versus them. Again, we think the awareness of the chipboard product is going to expand. Several residential usage of wardrobes, kitchen shutters at times, door infills, other fit-out panels. People will move towards chipboard as they've done in Europe. And again, demand and decision-making of furniture making, moving to organized setup, India expanding furniture making production. So in India now, I think we have 3 players with continuous press lines. Comparable with us is only 1 player with the same European technology. So again, the offerings we have, pre-lamp boards, plain chipboards, exterior grade, interior grade, various certifications. We already achieved CARB, which is E.5, E1, E2, several ranges. All production of chipboard is with agroforestry, waste wood. Nothing comes from the forest. It's all from the farmers, from their plantations. And applications, again, furniture, doors, tabletops, office, fit-outs, shutters. Just a few images. So when I was saying we coordinate everything, so I think that's the image you see on the right side, which is post-forming laminates, prelam chipboard, compact laminates, and the edge band you see with the roll. We have built this program also, but with an outsource model. So people who make furniture get the entire program from us. So they get a melamine faced chipboard with a matching edge. So we don't have the edge band samples, but I'm assuming you all understand this, but if you don't, we can explain you. So this is the entire program which is being put, from our plant. Just few images of where chipboards are used. Office workstations is a big user. Shop fit outs is all commercial applications. Again, a massive user. Most school furniture, people use boards for desks, tabletops. Wardrobe shutters is again a big use of chipboards. And because you get 9 feet products, you can also make taller panels. These are some tests we've done while doing some product development. Those images and samples are there. So we built a high moisture resistant product, and we made some comparisons how it fares when it's tested with boiling water. It's a bit technical here, but we have images and samples there. You can just spend some time in the corner there. I think the message is that the chipboard, if rightly done, is an excellent product in terms of performance, even in water testing. Typically, people have a perception that water testing, boiling water, the chipboard will kind of disintegrate. That's actually not the truth. It fared better than an ordinary commercial plywood and an MDF and a high moisture resistant MDF. I think the message we want to give out is we will do a lot of upgradation of the product and kind of portfolio expansion. Product developments will be done in this category. So way ahead is margin expansion to be driven across categories, as most of our costs of people, infrastructure, warehousing is all built into the system. So Q1 was the first quarter after, I think, 3 years, after 12 quarters where all our costs have been built in. Otherwise, for the last 3 years, 3 FIs, every 2 quarters we had a new plant, a new range, some expansions here and there. So I think now everything is built into the system. The expenses increase will be very, very small and incremental. Brantage and Naidupeta plants have adequate space for brownfield expansion. So, like I said earlier, multiple brownfield expansion of laminates can be done in the Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh location. So we don't need to build a greenfield plant of laminates for, let's say, next 5-7 years approximately. And these expansions will come with a lower capex and incremental margins and quicker execution also. Deeper focus and expanding international presence to further strengthen our brand presence. Globally, over the last 3 years, we've expanded in various parts of Africa. We've opened subsidiaries in Germany, Spain, Poland. We have people in Romania. We've opened, an office in Saudi Arabia. We've opened warehouses in Indonesia, Malaysia. So several expansions have happened, which now I think, will kind of yield more results going ahead. Increased revenues will also expand our profitability. We bought land in UP, so in Uttar Pradesh. For plywoods and for some of the wood categories, we can't be a one site player. We'll have to expand our manufacturing base. So this is more concerning the future. This decision has been taken. We'll be leveraging technology to bring about efficiencies in customer experience and to augment growth. So several initiatives on the IT front have been taken, which again, is being executed and I think will drive a larger culture of database decision making and analysis. So on the conclusion, I think we are embarked on the next orbit, and which will transform the company, which will make the company, move from a small size to a mid-sized organization, make it more profitable, make it more sustainable. And I think over the last 3 years, we have laid down a good foundation for the company to become more valuable in the future. So we have the financial statements now. I'm going to ask our CFO, Ashok, to take you through.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, friends. I'll take you through the financial statement for the quarter. So, though this quarter one is traditionally a linear period compared to previous quarter, but this stood out a revenue at par, nearly at par for the Q4 level. Our domestic business grew by 22% on year-on-year basis, driven by healthy performance across all segments, including chipboard, which has the first quarter of operations. While our international business remains flat in this quarter, we see steady traction ahead. Gross margin improved by 110 basis points and stood at 53.1%, supported broadly by stable raw material cost and a softening in the timber prices. Operating profits before accounting for net forex loss of 10.6 crore stood at 54.7 crore, lower by 14.5%, largely due to initial operating cost in our chipboard as capacity ramp up is still underway. Consequently, the EBITDA margin came in at 8.1%, lower by 250 basis points. So actually the loss on the net loss of 15.7 crore for the quarter can be attributable primarily to notional loss of 18.8 crore on account of euro-dominated loan for chipboard, which we have taken, and euro has moved from 92 rupees to 100 rupees, and higher interest cost and depreciation. So this 18.8 crore loss is some has been accounted for as the fluctuation in foreign currency, which is 10.6 crores. Some has been accounted in the interest cost as per the guidelines, and some has been netted off against the exchange currency gain, which has been accounted for in the books. We have successfully, as been mentioned by sir also, we have successfully stabilized the chipboard product line, both for plain and pre-laminated board, and it is receiving good feedback from the market. We achieved around 30% capacity utilization during this quarter. Our effort in this quarter, we have explored the export opportunities also for the chipboard, and we have got good traction in that. Just to inform that Government of Andhra Pradesh has sanctioned our project in Naidupeta, a tailor-made incentive package on an investment of our wood-based chipboard and future capex. The incentive package includes over a period of 7 to 10 years from the commencement of commercial production, and it includes capital subsidy, employment creation subsidy, and some power benefits on the power uses. In this quarter, we have successfully transitioned from decorative veneer brand to Mikasa Decode veneer brand, unifying our all wood panel offering, plywood, veneer, flooring and doors under the Mikasa brand. The consolidation will strengthen our market position and enable us to offer a holistic lifestyle-driven product ecosystem to customers both in India as well as globally. These are the numbers which has been already published on the stock exchanges. Our revenue grew by 11.4% on year-on-year basis. However, it degrew by 1.2% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Gross margin improved by 110 basis points on year-on-year and 240 basis points on quarter-on-quarter. EBITDA margin stood at 8.1%, 250 basis point reduction on year-on-year basis and 190 basis point on quarter-on-quarter basis. PAT was in negative 15.7 crore, as I mentioned earlier, in comparison to 19.9 crore last year, and 1.5 crore in the Q4. Moving on to segment, laminate and allied segment. This saw a growth of 3.8% on year-on-year basis, however, a degrowth of 3.6% on quarter-on-quarter. The gross margin improved 200 basis point on year-on-year basis and 360 basis point on quarter-on-quarter basis. EBITDA margin for this quarter saw a degrowth of 40 basis point and a 50 basis point from the last quarter. So EBITDA with Forex saw a growth of 60 basis point in this year-on-year basis and 40 basis point on quarter-on-quarter basis. Capital employed largely remains flat in comparison to previous quarter. In terms of sales, it was 4.94 million sheets, a growth of 5.8% on year-on-year basis and nearly flat in comparison to quarter basis. Average realization is also nearly flat. It was down by around 1% on year-on-year and around 2% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Moving on to another segment, plywood and allied segment. This quarter we have realigned our segment into laminate and allied segment and plywood and allied segment and chipboard and allied segment. Plywood and allied segment will consist of plywood, decorative veneer, floors and doors. So net revenue from the operation for this segment was 88 crore, a growth of 25% on year-on-year basis, however a degrowth of 13% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Gross margin saw a degrowth of 130 basis point on year-on-year basis and a growth of 180 basis point on quarter-on-quarter. Overall, the EBITDA was in negative, almost at the similar level in comparison to previous year. However, it has gone up in comparison to Q4 level. Capital employed largely remains the same at around 350 crore. This is the another decorative veneer which is under the plywood and allied category. Here also, if you see, the sales are grown up by around 21% on year-on-year basis, but on a quarter-on-quarter it saw a degrowth of 38% in volume. In terms of average realization, a degrowth of around 4% on year-on-year and a growth of 6% on quarter-on-quarter. This is in terms of plywood, where we saw a capacity utilization of 28% in comparison to 24% in previous year same quarter and 31% on quarter 4 of last year. Sales in volume terms grew by 21% on year-on-year basis, however degrew by 8.5% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Average realization is continued to see the improvement, which was 11% on year-on-year and 7% on quarter-on-quarter basis. This is our newest segment, panel and allied segment. Since this was first full quarter, so obviously the figures are not comparable with the last quarter, where it had the only two months it was and the production was getting stabilized. So we saw a revenue of 31 crore in this quarter in comparison to 5 crore in quarter 4 of last year. Gross margin was at 45%. EBITDA loss without Forex was 9.8 crore, down from 11.8 crore previous quarter. However, after the Forex loss, the EBITDA loss was 25.9 crore in comparison to 7.5 crore last quarter. Capital employed was 808 crore in this quarter in comparison to 769 crore last quarter. In terms of production, we saw a 30% capacity utilization in comparison to 24% previous quarter. The sales was 14,600 cubic meter and average realization was around 21,000. This is in terms of operating parameters. If you see, the overall net working capital is improved by around 6 days from the quarter 1 last year. However, it has been deteriorated by 4 days from quarter 4 of last year. Our debt position towards the end of last quarter was 1,040 crore in comparison to 921 crore in the quarter one of last year and 989 crore on quarter four of last year. Return ratios are distorted because of the figures, what is the in terms of loss which is there on a net basis in this quarter. However, the capital employed, if you can see, these are more or less at the similar level in comparison to quarter four as well as in the quarter one last year. That's all from the presentation. Now I would like to open the floor for the question and answer.
Hello. Hello. Hi, sir. So firstly, on the guidance which you have given of 18 to 20% growth, does that hold or any change?
Second, please.
Guidance.
Does that?
Sorry?
I couldn't follow the question, please.
Yeah. So my question was the revenue growth guidance which you have given 18 to 20% for this year.
Right.
That holds?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And
Like you saw in Q1, domestic did about over 20%. Exports were a little bit of a challenge in Q1, but in Q2 we are very hopeful that they should go well.
how has been the July so far?
So July so far has been decent. I can't give the numbers, but so let's put it this way that we are on the track, or at least the attempt is to do those deliver that 18-20%. Unless something specific comes out, can't say, but that is the plan.
Got it. Last question from my side. So how is the particle board return profile looking like? What sort of calculation you are doing once this plant is at optimum utilization?
Right.
What sort of revenue margin and what sort of return ratios will this make?
So this will depend on the value mix, RM cost, etc. And when we did the project also, I think we had this discussion. So EBITDA margins on a near full capacity, assuming normalized RM cost, not very low, not very high, should be between 18 to 22% kind of a margin. So the European plants, once they cross like a 70% utilization, all your cost of production of raw material consumption, glue consumption, power consumption, fuel consumption comes down. So I think right now it's suboptimal. So I think once we cross that stage, I think our cost of production will come down on the operating side. As I was telling you through the presentation, we're also going to build some more products in the chipboard segment. We'll also innovate with designs and textures. So we're hoping to improve the value mix also, and which we've demonstrated successfully in the laminate business also. If you go back 10 years in laminates, the margins in laminates, the product offering was very basic. And through the years with new design, textures, compacts, because I think there's been a change in the profile of the product and the margins, and we hope to replicate that. And it's not something new we'll do. So this is already present in Europe, and in many other international markets on how people have moved up the ladder in the chipboard valuation. So I think at that EBITDA margin level, we've done the maths earlier. About 18 to 20% ROC was something which we think we can achieve.
Okay, got it. That is helpful. This was Keshav from HDFC Securities.
Hi, good evening, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. Just a couple of questions from my end. You haven't actually given in the presentation what has been the only revenues for plywood division along with the EBITDA loss that we're making currently.
So, one, we regrouped the plywood and veneer. This is not, first I want to tell you, this is not unusual. Every other plywood competitor has plywood, decorative veneer, flush doors, laminated flush doors in the segment. So from our side, the difference is the engine pool floorings also, booked in the same segment. So that's one part. On what is the independent revenue of plywood, I'll have Ashok respond.
We will answer it separately.
Sure, sir. So secondly, on the chipboard side, you said that, government is giving you some incentives, which are for over the period of 7 to 10 years. Could you just speak about it and how will it benefit in terms of margins or ROCEs or, the export opportunities that come up with it?
Yeah, sure. So this benefit they will be there from the 7 to 10 years, and as I mentioned that some is there in the capital some is there as the employment, and some is on the power in terms of 1 rupee we got for the concession for the power, as well as the electricity duty will be waived off, kind of a thing. So this will be over a period of time. Every year it will vary in terms of that, but let's say around 40 crore or something, if everything comes at the right moment, kind of a things with the government, because this has been sanctioned, and now the next level is in terms of go to the government and in terms of applying that and get that money into your hand.
And about the exports opportunities in the chipboard part, you mentioned that it started already,
Yes.
Can it become as large as what we've seen over the years for your laminates, or is it too early to say anything?
No, I think it's too early to say. The advantage we have, one is the plants located at the port. The wood cost in India typically has been higher than wood cost of Southeast Asia. So it depends on where the wood costs, how the wood costs move. In fact, I was in Southeast Asia 2 weeks back, and our sense is at some point for chipboard business, the wood cost would be very similar to the wood cost people are having in Thailand, because that's a major exporter of chipboard. As you know, Greenlam sells to 120 countries. So in many markets, our channel partners, our distributors also carry chipboard of some other brands. It could be a player from Europe, it could be a Thai producer, it could be a Turkish producer. And because of the popularity of the Greenlam brand in many locations, we are able to open doors in many markets to push Greenlam melamine chipboard. So we started exports to now 4 countries. So clearly we can't export everywhere like we do laminates, because wood is expensive, and the freight cost as a percent is quite high. Geographies where there's no local production, geographies where accessibility through the sea is efficient, I think we'll find markets in those countries. And fortunately for us, we already have some presence in those markets with the laminates brand. Either we have a channel partner, maybe we have a team. So I think that gives us a kind of a head start on that front. And like we said, the program of compact laminates, melamine chipboard, and laminates also coming from the same plant. So we've seen some markets, some customers want some compact laminates, some chipboard. Again, it's very early to say or tell you how large this can become. I think this would be meaningful, for our business, but very hard to say at what level this can get scaled. But bare boards will not do much. So plain boards, I don't see will get traction. We'll get traction with the melamine chipboards, where we have strength on the design and where the product and the brand gets specified in those markets. I think that's a sense we have.
Got that. Lastly, on the wood side, your peers have been speaking about wood prices going lower.
Right,
How
right.
are you seeing the scenario for your plants and your procurement?
Right.
And how much could be the decline from here also that we could
Right.
see?
So on the wood, so our wood factories are in South India. One is in Tamil Nadu and one is Andhra Pradesh. Plywood for the plywood wood we are seeing is more or less stable. There's not much reduction. On the chipboard, our base is of Q4. And so versus Q4 to Q1, the buying has come down a bit. And we think Q2 will be probably similar or slightly lower. The difference between, because when you say peers, you're mostly referring to MDF producers. So their mix of wood and our mix of wood will be a bit different. In chipboard, you can use multiple species, waste wood, you can mix different species. So I think there's more flexibility in the production process. And as you can see, it's layers of product. It's not one fiber. So I think we'll have some, there'll be a different way to look at the wood cost there. But as you see things now, stable or slightly softening. We will not give you exact per rupee cost like a competition does. We're going to wait for 1 year, settle up business and give it all that.
I think you could read my next
Yeah, I
question.
knew that. So we'll not be able to do that, please.
No problem, sir. Just last one, what would be your portion of pre-lam? I know it's too early,
Yeah.
but what would be your portion of pre-laminated at this point of time, and what are you aiming for the entire FY 26 and 27?
So firstly, I must tell you that typically most chipboard eventually gets sold as a laminated board. Maybe a very small percent, 4-5% gets sold as a bare board. So even if I sell chipboard to somebody else, there's somebody else who laminates it. Because there are short cycle producers, and because India didn't have enough board production, short cycle producers came up in the country who were importing boards from Thailand or Vietnam or some other place, or buying local boards. So that's the overall situation. As far as we are concerned, obviously the aim will be to continuously increase the value mix to more prelam. At this moment, because we have enough capacities, we're shipping plain and prelam, but you can see that from the competition data, what their value mix is, what ours is, and you can make a guess, but it's already quite a high percent of pre-lamination that we've already started achieving.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, hi, Praveen Sahai here, sir, from PL Capital. So my question is related to chipboard only. That's you had said about 21,000 is the realization right now, and you are selling a bare board right now. So how is the realization difference between the prelam or melamine or bare board?
No, we're selling both. We are selling plain boards as well as melamine boards. Even now, a melamine board percentage is quite high. I think it's very similar to our nearest competitors' data, which you all have in the market. We are nearly at that level of percent of prelam already because we compared the data. So it's both. So the difference, so plain board and prelam is basically you put a deco paper on both sides. You can see those samples.
Yeah.
So typically a prelam, depending on the paper, will be 24,000 rupees a cube, and plain board, depending on the thickness, and what prices, could be anything between 13 to 14,000 rupees a cubic meter.
Okay. So also you had given that the margin improvement will come with a utilization improvement. So the number you had given on the basis of what the bare board utilization only, or the pre-laminated?
No, it's a mix of bare and melamine chipboard. So even in bare, until now the industry was selling only interior grade plain board, and we have some samples for you all. We've built a high moisture resistant product also, which we've not launched, full scale. It's still been a small launch in few markets. So the realization profitability will be a mix of plain board interior grade, plain board HMR, and melamine chipboard. It'll be a mix of all of them. And obviously it'll take time for us to kind of get the mix right.
Right, sir. Right. Next question is plywood. You said about this year is to break even. So this is hold true, like this year?
We started the plywood business in FY24. First year we did about 60 crores of revenues. FY25 we doubled to 120 crores. So right now we're present only in the premium end of the market. So with the budgets we have for this year, if that gets done, we should be EBITDA break even, not net break even. And now earlier we were present only in South India. We've added Maharashtra and few more states of Central India and East India, in the sales program. We still are not a pan-India brand at the moment.
On the debt, any guidance how much is expected to reduce by this year?
Yeah, in terms of this year, we don't foresee there is a huge debt reduction kind of a thing. We foresee this as a similar to last year, even though in the Q1 this has gone up in comparison to last year, but we believe going forward it will come down and it will remain around 1,000 crore or similar to what previous year kind of a level. Since this year is still the remaining capex of around 150 odd crore need to be made in this year, but we believe from next year onward this debt should keep coming down.
All right. Last question is how much is the export percentage in laminate?
So laminates approximately 50% is international business.
And where it is largely?
Our sales are quite diverse. So it's across several markets, But let's say if you take a top 10, 20 market would be Thailand, Indonesia, Egypt, UAE, Saudi, Germany, Italy, UK, US, Mexico. I think that's where it'll be.
Thank you, sir. All the best.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Rishabh from Anand Rathi. Just wanted to understand, you mentioned there are scope for brownfield expansion in laminates at both Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh. So any timeline when we will be expanding? And you mentioned that you acquired land in UP for plywood.
Correct.
So what's the scope there? What will be the size of the plant, capex, and what timelines?
Correct.
Thanks.
So laminates, you saw we are about 84% utilization right now. And with the projections we have, it depends on when we hit a certain point where we need to expand. So with the targeted volume growth, our sense right now as we see things in FY27, we will need to add a production line. So I think we will take it as, business improves and we have that flexibility. We already have land in both the places. So I think we'll see next few quarters and then make a decision. And in laminates, we have various sizes. Sometimes, we might have a capacity free in a certain size, but some other dimension press is running full capacity. So seeing the situation, we'll take a call. So we'll review the coming 6-9 months, then appropriately take a decision. On the UP, the land acquisition work is nearly over. Final formalities of approvals, etc., is going on. There again, we want to see, at what level we ramp up the plywood business. Then at the right point, we will take a decision to invest in North India. Yeah, should be, should.
Next question, please. Any?
Hi, sir. So what would be your export contribution to US and any impact from tariff that you've started witnessing?
So US is very small part of our overall export, if you say. So only to the US is around 4-5% of our export goes to US, and overall of the turnover it will be less than 3% in terms of that. So prior to in the US, when the 10% increase did happen in the April, so we have passed on that price into the market and consumer, that has been absorbed. The recent increase of 25% and further 25%, still we are evaluating, because this will be applicable when the goods reaches to the US. Not as of now, the duty will not is not applicable. So we are still reviewing the overall situation, and the last 25% is still not applicable. It will be applicable only whatever the goods leave India after 21st of August. So we are still reviewing that, and then probably we will take a call based on that. But it's not a very big business for us as of now.
Okay. So on the plywood side, how are we priced against our immediate competitors, and what's our right to win there, compared to the larger players?
So our focus is right now on the branded premium plywood, let's say 120-25 rupees square foot plus plywood. So in that category, we can confidently say we are best in class in terms of quality. The production process, the equipments we invested in, the quality of raw material, in plywood they check with density, uniformity, calibration, etc., etc. So I think we've been able to consistently throw out good quality to the market. And our right to win is from a quality, from a focus on, premium category plywood. The secondary working being done in the markets with architects, contractors, interior designers, homeowners, and that's how we're winning market share. So earlier we were only, like I said, in 5 states in South India, and now gradually we are, adding into more markets. So in that segment, our pricing will be more or less equal to the number 1, number 2 player in the market. In some markets, we could be 2 or 3% higher. In some markets, we could be 2 or 3% lower, but in that band.
So just last question. On the particle board, do you think it would cannibalize some market of MDF?
So hard to say that. We've seen with our understanding of the limited understanding of the market, all the three panel products, plywood, MDF, chipboard, finally make a space, for itself. But yes, we can say that over the last few years, because of a lack of high quality boards, meaningful capacity, there was no meaningful company promoting this category. They were all subscale, plants in India. Us and one of our competitors will end up taking some share of MDF, some share of the local plywood, some share of local chipboard. The prelam chipboard market, the melamine chipboard market, I think will end up taking some share of prelam MDF in the commercial segment, because in the absence of melamine, good quality melamine chipboard, furniture makers were using a melamine MDF product, which I think there will be some cannibalization there. I guess so, but we have to see how this pans out, because the price point of melamine chipboard is approximately 30 to 35% lower than melamine MDF. From a performance perspective, in dry application, workstations or any other dry application, commercial shop fit outs, cabinetry work, it just does the same thing. The density is good, and we have made some samples. The screw holding of the product is excellent. When you kind of close it with the edge band, it looks very homogeneous. And like I showed in the slide, we are going to offer melamine chipboard with 100% matching edges, which until now there's no other company in the country which does that. And this will be stocked in our factory. They built an outsourcing program. So when we ship melamine chipboard to the customers, they'll get a 100% match of the edges, which typically in the market, no other company does a match. They put some local materials so the product doesn't look homogeneous. So with the design development we've done, with the product development we will do, and the program we are putting across with HPL, with laminates, with compact laminates, edge band, working in the market with architects, ID, specification. So I think we'll end up winning some market, from there. That's my sense. But you'll come to know when it happens. But that's our sense.
The pricing would be similar to like how cheap would it be compared to MDF?
No, so like I said, melamine chipboard will be average 30-35% lower pricing to melamine MDF, same thickness. So for many applications, the furniture makers, the contractors, large GCC office projects, will move to melamine chipboard. And also the dimension in chipboard. Again, I'm not trying to sell chipboard and de-sell MDF. That's not the objective. The sizes you can do in melamine chipboard is 6 feet by 8 feet, 6 feet by 9 feet. So you can do larger boards. So for furniture makers, they need bigger panels, which helps them reduce their wastage. Use the product more smartly because it's all automated and it's a furniture setup. So I think all these things, once it gets into motion, we believe we'll win more market share.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'm Varun from BNK Securities.
Sharat Chandra, investment advisor. Your debt equity is about 1 now, and you are in a business where the margins fluctuate because of realization, because of whatever, wood sourcing, etc. So what the debt equity ratio are you comfortable going forward, and when do you see that achieving? Next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years?
Ashok will respond on the debt equity, but on the margin fluctuation, you can think will happen in the chipboard business. The laminates, plywood business will largely be stable margins. And because now what you're seeing is, like we said through the presentation, last 3 years, one after the other, plants came up, capacities came up. There were initial operating losses, investments in raw material, in programs. So the margins have moved. You see the laminates margin, if you will remove the new plants, the margins have been stable and actually have been going up. So in the chipboard business, you can expect some fluctuation basis of raw material. But that also depends on how, once the entire program is put in place, we'll come to know what the fluctuations, can be or will be. And clearly, the bigger investments are behind us. As we move ahead, if the revenues can go to 4,500 crores over the next 3 to 4 years. This will drive operating margins and PAT margins. and clearly debt will reduce, and the debt equity ratio will be comfortable. At what ratio will be comfortable? So I think it depends on the cycle of the business. So sometimes you expand aggressively because in the chipboard MDF business, investments come at one block. Unlike laminates and plywood, you can still stage it. You can put one line now, but here you have to put a minimum 800, 900 cubic meter capacity to be competitive in the long term. The short term, it looks like a little bit of a problem, but when these capacities start running, all your operating parameters improve. And India's furniture manufacturing base is still very small, and the furniture makers need these panel products, which were either being imported or because of lack of panel products, good furniture manufacturing setups have not come in India. So it's the way you kind of view this. So I really think as we move ahead, this will help, these facilities will help expand furniture making in India and also cause a great advantage. All these board plants are agroforestry based. You're not going to natural forest. It's all plantation based. You're buying from the farmers. So I think that ecosystem will also build. So clearly, I think moving ahead, these businesses for us will grow up, and it will fluctuate in the sense like few years you could see things really, equity going up and literally coming down. When you make one big investment, again, the debt goes up and the ratios get a bit disturbed.
No, sir. The question is basically, the new plants capacity utilizations are very low, and that's why probably
because one plant is just 4 months old. And so the ply business is about, let's say, 2 years old. There, I think we could have been slightly better.
So going forward, what do you see? When do these reach a level of 60-70% capacity utilization? Because that's the time when debt equity will become more manageable.
Correct.
So I'm asking that will it happen in next 3 years, 5 years?
No. When we say 18 to 20% growth over 3 to 4 years, at that point, the laminates business, the chipboard and ply will be near full capacities. So these plants can run at full capacities. The decorative veneer business will not be at a full capacity because it doesn't need to run at that pace. So clearly, if the answer you're looking for, next 2 to 3 years, I think it should kind of normalize to a decent level.
So debt equity should be a reasonable number in next 2-3 years?
Should be. I don't know what number.
So if you see what we have said, that debt will remain similar to last year level in this year. And with the equity going up, and from the next year, we are expecting the debt to come down. So it should come down to the better level in next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. It's Mahesh from HDFC Securities. My question is regarding particle board segment. What top line and utilization level are you looking for this fiscal?
This fiscal? Yeah. We are expecting around 40 to 50%.
And when you are expect this to hit break even?
It's breaking even at around this level. Of course, everything will depend upon how the raw material prices, specifically wood, behaves in terms of that.
Okay. So my last question on laminate prices. So how the prices are in the market currently?
Prices in the sense you are talking about?
Laminate prices.
Selling price?
Yeah.
So laminate prices have been stable. With the unorganized companies, sometimes you don't know at what pricing they operate. So we took one increase last year, I think in September. But at the moment, we are comfortable with the laminate pricing. And as you can see, gross margin went up by about 1%. So we want to build more volumes. So with the raw material cost, at least for us, is more or less stable. The value mix is quite good. So we are comfortable with the sales pricing of laminates at this moment.
Okay. So that's all from my side.
Done with questions? So I think if you're done with the questions, we have Mr. Dani, our independent director. He also wants to say something.
No, having seen the home improvement industry closely over the last 30 years, I would just want to bring out 3 things. One is the rise of the OEM furniture manufacturer, whether it's the shift that you are seeing in office spaces to tourism to other infrastructure that's coming up in the country. That's a shift that's taking place, and as Saurabh said earlier, availability has ensured that better material is available now to manufacture furniture. Also, this is a sector that creates many jobs, so I think there will be more emphasis also on furniture manufacturing and the whole value chain as far as India is concerned in the next few years, keeping in mind the challenges we see at the macro level. Second is, I think, seen it in laminates. I think we'll see it in the other segments that Greenlam has entered also. The shift from unorganized to organized. I think buying from a branded player definitely has happened in the last few years, and Greenlam stands out as far as quality is concerned, and if availability or service is ensured, if price competitiveness is there, if the service is there and innovation is there, it's possible to gain from this shift from unorganized to organized sector. That's the second thing I wanted to say. And third is, and that's where you've seen the brand alignment and many other things that have taken place. I think one-stop solution from Greenlam is possible as far as the sector is concerned. The product range, and there are many finer nuances as far as offering is concerned. All that has been thought through and being rolled out, and that will also ensure that one is, of course, distribution cost comes down. There is more excitement as far as distributors or the distribution channel is concerned, but it will also ensure much higher market share across categories because it's possible to cross-sell. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
So I think with this, we thank you all. We close this Q&A session as I think there's no further questions there. We thank you all of you to taking out time and attending this. And we also invite you to the high tea which is outside there. You can also see the product samples, interact with our salespeople and get a far better knowledge of the products and their applications both. Look forward for you for the next round of analyst meet somewhere next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you found this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe to Concall India for latest upcoming Concall.